Good afternoon, all. Camelback Trading 2724 coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, June 2nd. Looking at the last couple of days of the market profile of the SPY ETF here on Window Trader. I had a horrendous day today, absolutely horrendous. I was traded very poorly. Two big trades that cost me, one in B on the long side, one in D, which cost me dearly on the short side. I made one other trade after that in I period. And then just rested and watched the day. Very, very conflicting for me today. A lot went on. Obviously, the Bulls certainly won the day, but there were some conflicting things throughout the day. But end of the day, the Bulls certainly win it, as they are now one time framing up 2 months in the monthly. Even though I'm calling it balanced to monthly, since we're still inside March's huge range. Weekly is certainly one time framing up. Daily is right now above our 5-day balance, above last month's high. The daily is up. As far as what I did today, the day actually started out good. I took a short in A period, which worked out very nicely, right? We gapped higher. I said if we get accepted into M period, there's a good chance we'll trade a good part of M's range. That's what it did, and that's what I did. Got on board, a short, and wrote it down for a nice trade. Then, in B period, we went back and forth through the opening. It was above yesterday's high. I took a long, looking for us to take out A's high. I actually took a size trade just to see us pop the top, which is what we did. Got out of it. I didn't know what to expect out of it because we was still. I figured we'd take out A's high and the monthly high. But by the time it did it, I was basically out of most of that trade because it didn't do it with any tempo initially. Now here's the two trades that hurt me. So in C period, we had single prints. C open, took out B right away. For me, that's a pretty important telltale sign, right? Whenever you have singles and you open up and don't take out the high right away, well, then odds are those singles are going to fill. They took out B's high right away. So when C came in, I started a call position. Added to it once or twice. It went up a little bit. I was very comfortable because a bunch of things. Value was higher on the day at the time. We're one time framing up, and we had now taken out last month's high. So I figured the odds were pretty good to go get the pre-market high, right? Well, that didn't happen. Well, we got it in M period, but didn't happen when I thought it would happen. So I said my out would be if we fill the singles, get below the opening, and stop the one-time framing up. And that's what I basically waited for. But when that happened, I was long 40 contracts, and that put a pretty big hurt on me. Now, I'm not saying I chased it to try to make up for that. I don't do that. I really thought I did nothing then when C continued to flush. I didn't even do anything when D flushed out to the low. What I should have done, the trade I should have taken, is when D took out C's low. That would have been a decent trade. What I did do, now again, I'm in 4-tick increments, so D went down, got below M's low, but here's where my thinking changed to possibly we can get a little more to the downside. We were now back inside yesterday's range, right? We stopped the one-time framing up. We were now one-time framing down. Value was still overlapping the high, no doubt, but we were also stretched a 5-day balance, right? Got out of the monthly high, stretched it barely, really, in C, came into it and came into yesterday's range. So when D came back above A, now even though I wasn't looking for single prints at that point, I thought it would still roll over. I took a pretty size put position, went up, I took some more, and then obviously you saw what happened. It put me in a lot of pain. In D, E, I was like, okay, I'm going to hold on to it for a couple of reasons. We haven't gotten back to the opening yet, right? D never got to it. E didn't get to it. We're having trouble in yesterday's range, in and out. I'm like, maybe, just maybe we get this flush. Now, we had already taken out the initial balance high and low, right? Right off the bat, that's unusual. So I thought there was a chance we can come back down and at least test the day's low. And that's all I was looking for before we tried to go back up. Obviously, that did not happen. F took out E's high, stopped the one-time framing down, I said, once we get above the opening, I'm out on this trade. It got above the opening, took it off, and it was a size loss. So as big as C's was on that long, D's was 4 times as worse. Put me in a mental state of not really wanting to trade. And again, it was kind of a messy day, right? They kept getting back to POC. POC was finally raised late in the day. I took one other trade in my IRA when I thought we would pop the high today. I took a size trade here when we took out H's high. We never got the high, but I still made out on it because the tempo was so slow. So as it was going up, I was just taking it off because I didn't think we would get much above the day's high because the tempo was so bad, because we were 7 wide. I figured we needed something to lean on at some point, and we got that, right? Jay took out eyes high and reversed, and then now I'm like, okay, now we're looking for an afternoon pullback low, but I wouldn't be too strong with it because the indices at the time were not that strong, and we did JKL. I'm using L as an afternoon pullback, and then M did what M does, right? Once again, price just decides to rip higher, go out with a price probe, get the overnight for the ES. Now, I got my pre-market high and low. I got to the pre-market low to the tick in D period. So, I'm sorry. I was just looking at something. So, a lot of strange things today. Initial balance, both sides. For me, pre-market high and low. I just didn't trade it well. Certainly was not smarter than the algos, which you have to be. And it cost me big time. And it's worse because it's in my trading account. So I only keep a certain amount in there so I don't totally destroy it. So now I have to refund that a bit and get going again. All right, let's go over destinations for tomorrow. First one on the upside will be today's high of 308.13. Then we have that daily high at 308.47. And then above that, we have 313.10, a daily high, and then 313.84 monthly high. That's the next big goal for the bulls. That's the next big goal. I said there's pretty much a price void, and they're starting to attack it. For the downside, we go out with a price probe. That is C's high, 307.26, right? See if we get accepted tomorrow. We won't know till tomorrow. Then we had 10 wide. It got pulled up to D's high, 306.41. Afternoon pullback low, 306.03. And then today's low of 305.10. Now let's go to the charts. So monthly, 2 days into the month, we already took out last month's high. We are now one time framing up 2 months, but I'm calling it balanced to up because I told you I want to see what happens this whole range from March, right? I mean, you could, again, this is subjective. This is, it's an art. It's not a science. A lot of people are going to say the monthly's up, one time framing up 2 months, and nothing's wrong here. I'm saying balance to up for now, since we just came out of last month's high and we're inside this huge March one. However, from our inside month up, right, 294.88 rounded out to 295, 308, we're already 13 points higher than that inside month up. Powerful stuff. Weekly, one time framing up 2 weeks. Right now, there's nothing standing in the way between the bulls and 313.84, which is also a monthly high. Now, the tempo and volume have absolutely been pretty bad going there, so I don't expect it to just get there in a heartbeat. But unless something changes drastically in the next couple of days for the Bears and get their act together, we will see it at some point. And then the daily, we had a 5-day balance. I'm calling it up now. I was going to call it balance until late in the day when they decide to rip up and take out the 5-day balance high and close above it pretty good. So I'm calling it up for now. We are one time framing up for 2 days. Again, here's your pit stops on the way up. 308.47 daily high, 313.10 daily high, 313.84 monthly high. So very, very interesting. The 50 is starting to curl up big time. We're pretty good shape above the 200. Again, the ball is in the Bulls' court. Volume is 71 million. So definitely better than yesterday, which was 56, including the overnight. However, it's going to still be below the average, which is in the low 90s. So again, you would like to see the other time frames maybe chipping in to get this higher. But it remains to be seen if they do come in. Anyway, I hope you guys had a better day trading than I did. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.